Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Monday session of Insights and Innovations. And today we've got a very, very special session, which three amazing human beings. Toby, who we all know from Foxtel, but we're joined by the leadership team of Foxtel and Dance in terms of Mark Frain and Patrick Delany, two of the most interesting and and probably most sought after people we want to hear from at the moment. They've gone through a massive transformation and there is so much happening at their business, and we're going to hear directly from the team about what's happening, and they'll be opening up for questions towards the back end. And if it's not about your top box, feel free to ask and ask away. But Toby's going to lead the conversation and drive it for there. Without further ado, I'll hand over to Toby to take things over.
Cheers, Sam. Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining today's session. Really excited to hopefully facilitate a really interesting conversation and give you a lot of insight behind the Foxtel Group, where things have been, and more importantly, where they're going, and critically, what that means for you and your clients. Before we go into the detail and what would effectively be a fireside chat with both Patrick and Mark, I just want to acknowledge that where we are in our time, and we're in the land of the Camaragal people. We want to acknowledge the contribution they've made to this area and also our business. Very briefly, the Camaragal people are a series of individual clans. They lived by the water, they lived inland, so they were very individual in their setup, but they focused a lot on what they were known for as coming together for a greater good or a greater purpose and greater opportunity. And I think that's a really good setting for the IMAA and what you do. And hopefully we'll be able to have a similar conversation and share some insight, take it back to our businesses and benefit from that. So again, I just want to acknowledge that on the way through. Just a formality today. This is an opportunity for you to ask Patrick and Mark any questions you've got. I can keep going for the next couple of hours, and knowing these two gentlemen, they probably could too. But what I would encourage you to do in the chat function, anything that you want to ask both of Patrick and Mark along the way, please jump in. I believe we've got a series of questions that will cover the strategy, the current growth, and the opportunities for your business. But I would welcome the opportunity for you to jump on screen or jump in the chat function and directly ask something which matters to you and your client. That's what today's all about. So without any further preamble, again, just to special welcome and thank you to Patrick and Mark for joining today. We'll have about a half an hour to canter through some questions. What is customary in our business when we get together and as a leadership team and as a business is we talk a lot about what we're watching. Patrick, you're often the person asking this. Now it's my turn. So good afternoon, Patrick. Great to see you. Can I please get a bit of a rundown on what's been watching in the Delany household at the moment? Thank you.
Well, friends and neighbours, I think everyone's been watching it. John Hamm's been fantastic, but I also noticed that Clarkson's funds dropped, and that's like watching a train wreck. So I'd like that. But they're the two big things. Obviously, a lot of sport goes on in the house, but my daughters tried to watch And Just Like That last night, and I think they've finally concluded that 60-somethings aren't all that sexy. But they're the shows.
Excellent. Good insight. Franny, same question, please.
Yeah, I've got stuck into a fair bit of Clarkson's farm. A few of you know I've kind of done something similar down south, not to Clarkson's scale. So I'm taking a fair bit of inspiration from that as we've gone into the next season. And then I'm combining that with Mobland. So Clarkson's and Mobland, it's an interesting combo, but they seem to work pretty well in my household at the moment.
It's a very interesting combo. I to return serve, I'm currently watching as much NRL as I can because my team is doing well for a change, and I've just managed to get through to the end of Severance. Got a bit weird with goats and all sorts of stuff going on, but a very different show. And I think all those examples that we shouted out now is the beauty of what we do. We're here to celebrate good content, and we love doing that. So hopefully that might give you a few shows to watch in your own households as well. Patrick, I'm going to go to you first, and let's start very broadly in terms of what was a big announcement from the business earlier this year or the end of last year with DAZN and then acquisition. There's quite a bit to unpack. So can I ask you a leading question first on maybe a bit of background on DAZN, and then I'll let you sort of unpack the various layers of opportunity and benefit amongst that, please.
Yeah, I got to tell you, 6 months ago, I didn't know a lot about the Zone, and its previous name was the Perform Group. So the Perform Group was established 6-7 years ago with the idea of acquiring sports rights and going direct to consumer. So that's sort of interesting. It's around the same time that we launched KO, but they don't really operate in this country, and the reason why is we're pretty strong. So when the company had been turned around, and News Corp sort of said to Siobhan McKenna and I, look, we're not adding much anymore, and the reason for that is that they sold 21st Century in 2018. That's the movie studio with all the output we have, but also the Sky Group. And they're in species really more like us. What was left in News Corporation was an information services type company. And, we had a look in 21, 22 at the idea of floating the company. And constantly on these calls where you talk to potential investors in News Corp at the end would say, look, why is Foxtel in this? It's not in the same, it's not an apple, or an orange. It's different. You need to get it out, because then your own story would be a much cleaner story. So I think, about 12 months ago, there was some interest in the Foxtel Group, and then News Corp decided to run a process, and that's when this company designed. So it was Perform Group. I think, frankly, they spent quite a bit of money testing around, ended up being acquired by an English company called Access Industries. Sir Len Blavatnik is famous as the proprietor behind that. And probably about 3 years ago, a guy called Shai Sergev, who is famous in the wagering area. I think you'd probably call him a technologist and a product person, came in and has done a lot to really transform the group and make it very focused on sports all around the world. So we're an interesting acquisition, really. To get into Australia, into Australian sports, you've got to have something special about you, because the little formula we've got with Foxtel already owning all of the rights, and so the streaming going to a separate segment of the population, younger families, and Foxtel staying with older families. This means that really KO is free cash flow, as is Binge. And that free cash flow has been adding back to what we lose in Foxtel. So I think DAZN sort of understood that. They understood that they could get control of the company by getting our debt refinanced. We have a bit of debt in the company because historically the company spent a huge amount of capex on set-top boxes, and so the shareholders never got any dividends. The paper profit of EBITDA really was paper. So they worked out if they could finance that, and then the shareholders in Foxtel would take a percentage of the bigger company on DAZN, then they'd get control of the company. So it was an interesting play, and a lot of people see it, okay, it's just sports, and people say to me, what's going to change? And I say, actually, not much will change at the Foxtel Group. Local management will continue to run it. Australians will be producing Australian sport and drama, will operate Foxtel. The things that will change is this, that DAZN, which operates in 200 countries, has got quite an extraordinary back end of technology, a platform. And that platform is scaled for live sport, which is very, very different to anything else. If you are streaming in general entertainment, what you do is you shift all your dramas and everything out to the edge of a network using a CDN, and the last mile is what a consumer does. And not only that, the demand for each of those dramas is pretty well pushed out. It's not everyone wants to watch something at one time. In sport, you've got to cope with sport from all around the world being live. And because it's live, the contention's massive.
Yeah.
So the gift we're given from DAZN is that we get access to this technology, which over time, we're hoping very quickly, means that we can turn all of our systems off and jump on their platform. It would be no different to, I don't know, an Australian business like Binge being taken over by Netflix, and you would not need any technologists or local systems. You just need local marketers and creators. So this is quite a big deal because we spend a hell of a lot on technology, and it could be a couple of $100 million per year on full year run rate out, which means that we can pay debt down like we've never been able to pay before. We've been good at paying debt down because in the transformation of the company, we've gone from being heavy set tops to 70% streaming. And so we're spending no money on set tops, but we still spend a bit of CapEx. So ultimately, probably when you're looking at the Foxtel Group in 12 months' time, our EBITDA will be equivalent to cash. So we don't have a lot of depreciation and amortization. We've got a bit of interest, but we'll be able to pay debt down quite quickly. And really importantly, it gives us headroom to invest in content, both in sports and in drama. And the other thing that people say is, well, Foxtel will end up not having any drama or, other things. It's just not right. The Foxtel Group is like a Hornby train set. The Foxtel part, the advertising part, the pubs and clubs part, the drama part and the sports part all go together in this ecosystem. And if anything, DAZN is intrigued by the drama and all of the movies because it doesn't have that. And of course, if you put drama and movies together with sport, then you've got a more evened out offering and you don't get as much ups and downs. And that's certainly with this new platform, what we'll be doing more with Binge and with Kayo. So that's sort of it. It's sort of, there's not a whole lot of, there's no one from DAZN here. There's no one running around telling us what to do. If anything, local management is far more in control even than that we were under News Corporation, which is a big established company with lots of processes. This is a company that really reminds me of News Corp 30 years ago, DAZN. It's very entrepreneurial, very quick to move, not a lot of process, probably needs more process. And I think our company is, hopefully they see it as well run. We know a lot about the streaming business. We know a lot about running a company. And they are certainly leaning back. They're pretty good on asking questions. I think they'll be good, but it's Australians running an Australian-based company. Sorry, it's a bit long-winded.
No, Patrick. I mean, again, this is the insight that is perfect for us to share, and that sentiment of control, the sentiment that we will continue, and Franny, that sort of point that Patrick made about intrigue on a number of fronts. One of the key areas of intrigue was the ad model that we have within Foxtel Media. So, what's your sort of view on the acquisition? And obviously, we've had a couple of content pieces drop to bring that to life.
Yeah, well, I think it's great news. Number one, I think it also points down to the success we've had as a business over the last 3 or 4 years in terms of transforming it to what it is today. A leading sports business. We're certainly sports led, but as Patrick mentioned, a significant entertainment act as well in Binge and the broader platform. And if I look specifically what the journey that Foxtel Media has been on, we've been talking about it for many years being a digital-led business, and it's kind of quite ironic that as we roll into this financial year, just prior to the acquisition taking place, it's the first year that this business went into being more digital than television. So just under 60% of our revenue now coming from digital video. And knowing all of the members on the call today, so certainly seeing the latest data coming out of their survey, video is certainly the future that's playing into that hands. We've had, once again, significant growth this year in digital, just up 30% year on year. Kayo's up just over 50, and it would be remiss of me not actually to thank everyone on this call for the support, because you guys are certainly driving that innovation. So yes, Tom, I mean, I think the paper's it's just about getting dry on the signatures of the deal. So there's a lot to do. There's a lot of energy to do that moving forward. But in the space of a couple of weeks, we've announced the Club World Cup, which will be kicking off in mid-June and run for 4 weeks. That will be running across all of the platforms, Fox Sports, Kayo, including DAZN. That's should give everyone a very small sample of just, I think, how quickly this will move. We've already ran the women's version of the Champions League a few weekends ago, and we're weeks away from the Club World Cup, and we've got a number of brands that are coming on that journey with us. So personally, and I think I can speak on behalf of everyone at Foxtel Media, we are excited to see what comes next. And I mentioned the point on speed. I don't think once we are fully integrated into their business, and Patrick talked about the scale of their back-end tech support, we're talking probably over 2,000 engineers in different parts of the world. Like, we've never seen that capacity and that scale of infrastructure behind us. So we've often had some good battles internally in terms of who wins the CapEx war to get the products they want developed, whether they're customer products or whether they're ad products. I think we're into a new era where those products, whether they're advertising or customer-led, will come faster than we've ever seen, which is great for customers and great for advertisers.
Yeah, like there's 13, I think we got 13 of our people in London last week and this week planning all of that out, the transference of the platforms. And even now, the feedback is that we probably do data, AI, and dynamic pricing better than they do. And so the idea may be that that comes from Sydney into the 200 countries. Addressable advertising, we've been through all of the pain of implementation of that, especially in a live environment. So there's lots to learn. But at the same time, I think there's the opportunity of really jumping forward on all of that. So it's a new era for us. Mark and I were talking about this last week ahead of this. Really, it's been 7 years on the turnaround. Our story's been very similar for the whole 7 years. We launched certain digital products, but we were sort of getting to the end of the runway. This is such a gift for a completely new start of the company that's locally led with local management, where we've all got to have a look in the mirror and go, actually, we're running this place. Let's go. I get a call every second day from senior people in London going, everything all right? Can we do anything for you? Not, we'd like you to pick the phone up, dial this number, none of that stuff. So that's a bit daunting at the same time as it's a great opportunity. And it certainly means the company's really strong. As we go forward and we want to grow, more exclusive rights, both in sports and in drama, are where we need to go. So being a digressive business has been replaced by being a progressive and aggressive again, which is great, because I think that's what you've got to do to survive. If you want to survive locally, you're going to need some help globally. And I love their philosophy is think global and act local. So they're thinking global in terms of how they bring technology, how they bring this one brand, and they think local about acquisition of rights and everything. I mean, one of the big challenges we're going to have, we've been nuts not to conform our brands, at least in sports, over to DAZN. Yet in Fox Sports and KO, we've got some really well-loved, well-known brands. But there is this opportunity in Australia to reimagine ourselves, and, I don't know, create the Coca-Cola of sports entertainment that has a new, younger energy and look and feel and crispness that our products have. But if you think about Fox Sports, it's a great brand. It's very prestigious, but it's a little bit your dad's. And KO has always been a little bit childlike. So there's a great opportunity. Probably if the zone hadn't come in, we probably would have conformed everything under the KO brand to give us more power. It seems crazy, right, that we are broadcasting shows and events under the Fox Sports brand, and Matty Johns and all of our team in Melbourne, all of our faces are under Fox Sports, but then they're distributed by Foxtel and KO. You lose a lot of power and multiplication of authority. Yep. So this is something that's going to be a great challenge, and we're after any comments and help on this because we want to do it well. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think from my experience being client or agency, a strong Foxtel brand in market makes the market stronger, whether that's the competition, whether that's the agitation on a better experience for subscribers or advertisers. And we believe, and we take that fight with the right intent, just to overall exceed expectations, whether it's the people on this call or be it people watching the content. Patrick, let's stay local versus global, and let's sort of reflect on where we've been over the last maybe 6 months in terms of performance. Rolled off a very strong summer, and I'll sort of start you with sport. How do you see subscribers at the moment, and what are the key drivers of growth, starting with sport, and then we'll talk about entertainment?
So look, we've got growth in all sectors, other than Foxtel. The Foxtel business we're managing, for decline. We look more at revenue than subscribers, but in all of our streaming services, we've seen reasonable growth. I think it would be remiss not to mention that we're a variable interest rate market. People with mortgages are younger families. This is by and large the rump of where we aim, right, for growth in streaming of both Kayo Binge, Foxtel Now, and so it's been a little tougher to make that growth in this second half of the financial year than we saw, say, in the second half of last year. Last financial year, we felt more hit in the first half, and then the business just went nuts. This year, it's been a little bit the other way around, but we're still making good growth. And I think like everyone, we're feeling that in advertising, especially, and everyone on the call would understand that. But we're still seeing growth, which is good. I think the one good thing about all of our services, and when we have people that join the company that have been with us for a while, they usually join from free to air, so they know the advertising business, but not the subscription business. So I'm always a restless soul when it comes to subscription. I'm a pay TV guy, and these days I call it a paid television guy, where getting subscribers, winning back older subscribers, and keeping them is the name of the game. But part of that going forward is, a forward front runner on that is engagement. And I've got to say that this winter season, engagement has gone nuts. And in the old world of ratings, we're seeing ratings up. I think in the AFL this year, we're up 26% year on year, notwithstanding fewer Foxtel subscribers and clearly more Kayo subscribers. Interestingly, on the Foxtel side, I mean, these people are just fiends, for sport, movies and drama. They're the Australians that are now older families and retirees that are wealthy, that have watched and pre-selected to pay for 30 years. But we're seeing also inside Kayo and Binge really, really good engagement. So while it's a little harder this year to attract new subscribers and get people back, even though we are growing quite well, the engagement's immensely good. And that sort of says something, AFL, NRL, F1, we're looking forward to the supercars getting the rump up this year. And, we've got 50 Sports Live, but we're just seeing a lot of engagement, which says to me probably there's a little bit of substitution. So once you buy a subscription, you use it a lot more, which is good. But that's the way we're seeing it locally. It'll be a good year for us. We're hitting our numbers, which is great. It's also great to never have to report our numbers again. And to watch out for the bullets coming from press looking for a story, maybe competitors' press looking for a story as well.
Yeah, I'm sure that you walk a bit lighter off the back of that. Frain, that notion of engagement and let's say minutes viewed and what we see with people watching it across the week with our magazine shows and taking on another sport. F1's a good example of that growth. From a marketer's sense, again, thoughts on the market and how do you sort of see the growth in some of our partners like the Indies benefiting off the back of that growth in sport in particular?
Yeah, I think overall, everyone on this call would recognise the market's been tough. It's people say it feels like we've been in this cycle for a long time. Like we all have. Like we've been in it for 2 years, and there's been the odd month of kind of growth and celebration. But I think everyone is working harder for the same or less, and you can feel that around the industry. So I think competition's been fierce, and the advertising market probably hasn't been as strong as it has been, certainly versus other markets globally, and certainly versus what we've seen in Australia for the last couple of years. So it's been challenging overall. But I will say, and Patrick touched on that, I mean, having the new AFL rights with Super Saturday Live to mirror what we've got with the NRL gave us a wonderful kickstart coming into the winter codes. And many brands have come on that journey. I mean, I look at both the amount and the type of brands on both the AFL and the NRL this year. It's the most brands we've had on both codes ever. And that talks to a number of things. I mean, I think it talks to the consistency of our delivery. And that's not just on the linear side. We will touch on kind of Kantar later, but critically, as Patrick pointed out, the ongoing growth of both new and returning customers to KO has given us enormous potential to meet with brands which maybe historically thought, well, that was for the top end of town, and how do I get access to that premium content? And I think through KO, through addressability, we've been able to do that more. So brand count is going up significantly across our major sports. And we talk about growth moving forward. Like, we recognise that all CMOs are going into that boardroom to either fight for the same amount of money they had last year or even defend what they had. So we recognise that every marketeer and every agency has got to make sure those dollars go as far as they possibly can. And I'd like to think, as we continue to be a growth business, we're a safe bet for that, and we're a safe bet to actually deliver on business outcomes and metrics that historically we haven't had that opportunity to work with as many brands as we can now. So I think that the notion that anyone can play in the sports arena, for us from an advertising perspective, that's how we grow moving forward. And I think probably a few people on the call that maybe historically would think that sports may be out of their reach from a spend level or a platform perspective. But I think the balance of Fox Sports and KO just provides more opportunity. So plenty of growth to come, even though we've seen it in a challenging market.
I think Patrick, Frain, mentioned the word bet there a couple of times, and probably no more bigger bet than us investing behind Super Saturday. So maybe just, you mentioned the growth that we've seen year to date. Again, this is all about giving insight into the decisions we make. So talk us through that big bet of Super Saturday with the AFL, and how do you sort of see that now a few months in, and how does that signal the commitment to sport in this market as well?
Yeah, I think we're quite a unique market in the world, especially with direct consumer, because no market in the world has this anti-siphoning stuff, which means that we need to be able to look at our data and, importantly, the experience we have on how we're going to grow. And so, you know, in the early years, if you think right back to like 2011, when I first came into Fox Sports, we didn't have a lot of exclusivity. You'd see a bus back with, 269 NRL games per annum. And the thing that was missing was the word live, right? Yeah. Because I think we only had 1 or 2 games live. So improving our offering by picking up more live games to the point where we had 5 exclusive of the 8. And then in 2000, I think it might have been 14, we picked up every game live, right? So bought out the exclusive window from free to air, which was a new trick. We said, okay, in all of our games that are live, we won't put ads. Let's add breaks. Of course, we do a lot of sponsorship and everything else. And then we added 4K. So it's sort of like, after a while, you got what's the next trick? And what we've found is that franchises are the thing that is important for us. We've got so much live sport that internally we've got to work out what we're known for, and we've got a policy called the Foxtel Group Too Famous, TWO. So we want to be famous in winter for 2 sports, AFL and NRL. Inside, say, the NRL, we want to be famous for 2 franchises. That's Super Saturday and Sunday Ticket. That's where we worked out we can have the most traction that you really do need a subscription for. And that's where we want to put the majority of our exclusivity, especially if we've got a game that precedes a non-exclusive game like we do on Sunday. 2:30 leads into 4 o'clock. Super Saturdays are all exclusive. And then 2 shows we're famous for. So Matty Johns, Sunday Night with Matty Johns, and 360, Two Faces, Braith and Nasta, and Matty. So applying that to the AFL when those rights came up, I mean, you can do all the numbers you want on how much you're going to pay, but at the end of the day, it's like when you go to an auction on a house. If you really want the house, you got to pay what you got to pay. But at least you can have some conditions. And our condition was Super Saturday. And that is that at least in the majority of markets we'd have the first 3 months, and in Melbourne we'd have the whole year of exclusivity so we could be known for something. So that's gone okay this year. You can see in Melbourne and other places there was a lot of noise around it. There are no fewer games on free-to-air, but we've put them all down the Saturday seam. And you can see from the engagement score, that is ratings and minutes viewed and all that sort of stuff, that Saturday has been tremendously good for us. But we see the deal as a 7-year deal. It's going to grow and grow and grow as we break habits in this country. And that's really what we've had to do. You got to break the habit of free and bring in paid. To that extent, Netflix has probably been the most destructive thing of the Foxtel Group. When it came in 2013, people saying $10 versus 100, but at the same time, it's conditioned people to paying for content's not a big deal. And you can see that with the annual growth of KO as we continue in. One of the good things about the platform that we're going on to is that the design platform is those 2,000 engineers can make things happen very quickly. And one of the things I love when we go onto the design platform, whether we call ourselves design when we do that or still KO with design, we buy the rights locally, but we've also got all the international rights. So you'll be able to buy through from KO into NFL Pass. You buy through to a bunch of other international rights. But in the same app, you'll be able to buy through into Binge. And the difference is you won't go to a Binge app. It'll light up inside the KO app. So in that way, we're bringing everything together. And I think it gives rise to a physicality of bundling, not just a financial bundling, which is good because we had to start out life with two separate brands. We didn't want it to look like Foxtel. That was to preserve Foxtel, but also Foxtel's an older brand. Anything that looked like Foxtel was not sort of what younger families want. So I think that's a sort of getting off topic a little bit, but that's the story. And we'll continue to look for exclusive franchises as well as more exclusive rights as we move forward.
Yeah, brilliant. And again, the intent behind this, Patrick, is to give the audience a bit of insight into the decisions we make and the confidence in where we go to next. Franny, talking about confidence, I won't link that to the Ashes per your team, mate, but just a bit of a nod to the next 6 months of what's ahead with sport. A bit of tension will build as the Ashes comes nearer. Are you looking forward to that? And I guess the tail end of leading into the F1 season, where we sit at the moment, couldn't be lighting up better as well. So a lot to look forward to.
I mean, seeing kind of Piastri win again last night and Verstappen to continue behaving badly. I mean, it's good. It's good stories for F1. And it's certainly good for the Australians to see that and the success of F1. I mean, it's a great franchise across the KO platform, continues to deliver significant growth for us. And yeah, I mean, what is quite exciting about, and we were in meetings this morning just talking about the Ashes, and we're probably a couple of weeks away from hitting the market with that. And there's plenty of cricket innovations we planned and launched last year, which will roll into this summer, plus a few new innovations. But probably just getting beyond that, Toby, I think what becomes really exciting for all of us within the team now is the speed of some of those new ad products. And whether we get a chance to test some of those in the cricket, let's wait and see. But knowing that we're going into a phase of our business where the power of what DAZN has goes on top of an already brilliant product that's KO, already a brilliant set of rights across AFL and NRL, and we start to add the capability from pause ads, picture-in-picture, squeeze backs, L-shape. Think of any letters you like. I think we'll have an ad product opportunity with DAZN, and it will come quickly. So I think we're enormously excited about the journey. We're enormously excited about the strength of what we had in the winter codes now and how that provides another launch pad I mean, we had the great Indian series last year. I probably will be praying a bit for England to turn up, and hopefully we get some good competition this year. But let's see how we go. It's going to be good.
We'll just take 5 days, regardless. I think that's what we're all cheering for. I might, just conscious of time, and as expected, it's gone pretty quickly. Patrick, I'm going to sort of frame a question into some closing thoughts, because it relates to the importance of local content and the commitment we have and the pride we have in the content that we produce locally, talking the drama, lifestyle, and so forth. So if I ask you where you see that in the context of what that opens up as opportunities to brands locally too, if you can talk to that, that'd be great.
Yeah, I just to top off the sports part, a lot of people ask me about anti-siphoning. We've never really loved anti-siphoning, as you could understand, but we understand the policy intent of it. Labor government's been very clear about that, so we're not expecting any changes there. But we will continue to look for rights in sports that work for us. And the great thing about having a digital business is you can see when things aren't working. It's always a shame when there is internal fighting in a sport. It usually is the beginning of the end. But in the non-sport area, which is, I suppose, we're a sport-led company. In that area, we've always said we can't win. You can't win against Paramount Plus and Netflix and those big companies. The model they've got is quite extraordinary. They commission one show. They can spend a lot on it because they own the rights for the whole world, and then they use it across the whole world. So we want to participate in the non-sport area. We've still got a great couple of outputs. We've got some great stuff coming from NBC Universal and from Sony. We'll continue to produce our own Australian drama to complement that type of material, and we've got a lot of library and back catalogue that feeds Foxtel, but also the binge business. I've just been over to the screenings in LA, which they're not really screenings like they used to be. It used to be that the 5 networks would say what they've commissioned, and that would then be available all at one time because they go into seasons, right? So now they're not commissioning that much. The streamers are all there, but they don't commission all at once. They commission when they need it. So the whole thing's sort of fallen apart. But we've got some fantastic shows coming in the year ahead. The output from Peacock with Jacqueline. I don't know anyone caught that Sweet Pea show, Ted, but we've got a couple of great things. The Paper, which is a takeoff of The Office around a struggling paper. We've got this thing called Ponies, which is I think it's got to be a little bit comedic. Spies in Russia. The Copenhagen test, where this guy's actually had his brain hacked with these Russians inside his brain. And so that he knows that he's been hacked, so they keep going on. A pretty brutal show called Bunny Munro, which has got Matt Smith. He's the guy from House of the Dragons and Amadeus. So there's a lot going to come to the binge and Foxtel side. We've got some really good dramas that are coming up too. We've focused less on being more female skewed, more into being a little bit more down the middle of the road. We're looking for how can we find another Mr. In Between? That's like the holy grail, really, of Australian drama, other than if you can get a comedy, which is very, very difficult. And I think the other thing that's going quite well on binge is the live sport. So we've put sport that's non-exclusive, again, ad-free, done the Fox way. It's just building. It's not the type of thing you'd buy binge for, but it's certainly keeping people there. Same with news channels. They're being used quite a lot in that demographic, and so are the lifestyles.
Brilliant. So, Franny, what I might get to do, there's quite a few Foxtel Media crew on this call. It's important that we get across this too, but we're the ones that run with the next steps and what it means to the indies and their clients. So we saw the census last week, and there's a few things that really matter to them right now. So just some thoughts from you in terms of where to next and what can we do to lean in a bit closer to our dear colleagues on this call.
Yeah, I think we've had some good chats with Sam and the members in the last 6 to 12 months, and the divorce from OzTam has been well documented, and we did that for a whole bunch of reasons, but critically to make sure all of our great content was being measured correctly. But what's important about that journey is what we do with that next. And that's where I think the real opportunity comes for everyone on the call. We've done a lot of work with Kantar to ingest not just the Foxtel IQ set-top box data, making sure we get all the streaming data in there at the same time to really allow us probably optionality moving forward on what we do with that data. Where do we send it? And look at the title of this session is about insights, innovation. I think we're just starting to get to the point where how do we share that to everyone on this call? But more importantly, how do we share it whilst also connecting it to other data sets? So last year we spoke about a partnership with CommBank IQ with their data set. We've done a lot of work with Agile. We're in a big study at the moment with amplified intelligence, and I know attention-based metrics and attention-based advertising is very important to this group of people on the call. How do we share all of that into this group's members and all of its agencies? Like the the more easier we provide that data to this group of people, the better decisions they'll make. And we know the quality of the platform, we know the quality of the content, and ultimately we've done so much work on return on investment. We know we deliver. And I think, how do we get closer to everyone on this call with the data set that we've built? It's a premium data set. It's powered off the back of premium content. And we're on a journey to get closer and closer to return on investment, which is the same as everyone on this call. So we know that video is important. We know that intention is important. Attention is a proxy for business outcomes and sales results. So it feels like we've got a lot of good things to work on together, just on those three alone.
Brilliant. Sam, I'll let you jump back on screen too, so you can, and I want to land this plan right at 1:45, just respectful of people's time. Hopefully that was a session that provided you some good context about what we've been doing, but more importantly, what's next. And what's next is opportunity. It's access to both Patrick and also to Mark and anyone from Foxtel Media on this call. So any questions or follow-ups, you know where to go to. But by and large, thank you to Patrick and Mark for their time. But importantly, thank you to you for your time as well. It's been great to be able to share this update with you. Sam, hopefully this will be a start of further conversations to have, mate. I'll let you jump back in.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you, Toby. Also to echo those words, Mark and Patrick as well. Thank you guys for your time. I know how busy you guys are. And thank you for talking to the members. Members, thank you for tuning in. If you've got any further questions or anything else you might want to ask, because we kind of went a little bit over there, please don't hesitate to reach out, and we can shuffle that back through to Toby to get to the guys. And also in the chat, there's a little bit of a, as we do at the end of every webinar, to do a bit of a feedback and get your thoughts on it. So please just fill out the Slido as well. Thanks, guys. Have a great week, and we look forward to seeing how you guys grow and develop from here. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks,
Thanks, Phil.
Thanks, Frank.
Cheers, Sam.
Cheers, guys. Bye.